Hi everyone, Nathan here from the ebook reader blog. For this video, I'm going to do a tips and tricks guide for Kindle e-readers. So this covers basically all Kindle e-readers with the newer interface from Paperwhite 3 and up. So that pretty much covers everything from 2015 and till now. So first things first, up in here in the settings guide, if you go to the Kindle user guide, they got the actual manual right here to access from the settings menu, which is a bit different than it used to be. I used to have like a book that you had like on your device and you could look up your guide on there, but I don't know, for whatever reason they got this like down this website one that you can't download anymore. But yeah, you can just access your user guide from the settings menu now instead of from an ebook on your Kindle. Also, another tip, you see that I'm using the stylus. Those capacitive styluses do kind of work on these screens, but they you got to press kind of hard. So I'm going to ditch it from here and go back to the old school method. So with the new interface here, you got to get used to the fact that there are two different sorting menus, one on the right and one on the left. Some people have really disliked this new layout, but I mean, once you get used to it, it isn't too bad. You have these different filters here. So you got different types, which is kind of annoying for me because sometimes I want to be able to select documents and books at the same time, but you can only select one or the other. Same with like Audible. But then once you close that, it'll go back to your main list. So you got to get used to the different sorting and filter options here. So you got the different ones for like the different types of content. Then you got downloaded instead of, I used to have an all and like downloaded. Now it just has downloaded. So you also got the grid view, which will show, book covers, and then the collection view, which will also has like the book cover layout. So some people are annoyed with the collection view because there's no list view option when you use it this way. There is a way to view your collections as a list view. So you got to go into settings. It's kind of buried deep in the settings. It's under device options, then advanced options, then home and library, then collections, and you finally get there. But if you select one of the bottom two settings, it will show up, your collections will show up in your library list regardless of if you have that, you don't have to use the collections view. The top one by default will only show your collections in collections view like this. But if you set one of the other options, then you can find your collections like this. It might be kind of hard if you haven't opened one of the books for a while. It's not going to be in sort by recent. So you got to scroll down to your collection, and then you can view your collection in list view like this. So it is possible to view your collections in list view, but there is no like just list view like it used to have where it was no book covers. But they do with the new interface, you have your book covers list view. If you hold down on your title, it will bring up some additional options. So you got a lot of stuff you can do here. You can add it to your Goodreads shelves. You can actually search the book and go to different chapters from here as well. You got the option to permanently delete, so be careful with that one. And you can also add it to collections like your child profiles as well. Pretty easy to add books that way. So let's go into the settings menu, talk about some of the, a little bit less known settings perhaps. There's this page refresh setting. It's kind of like an old school setting because Kindles used to have more issues with ghosting, and the Kindle Oasis still kind of does. But these newer ones, you don't really need this so much. And if you have the Kindle Paperwhite or the Kindle Scribe, it has this animation setting, and it won't do it when you have that enabled. So once you turn the animation setting off, then it does the full page refresh, which flashes black every time. So you get kind of a clearer, screen that way. You don't see the after images as much. And you also have the vocabulary builder. When you have that enabled, it will keep track of every word you look up in the dictionary, so you can review them later. Another quick thing with the dictionary is you can change the dictionary just by tapping that little link at the bottom there. And then you've also got the other options up here for Wikipedia and translations. You can scroll through the different panes with those as well. So another setting up here is the book cover option. So this only appears on ad-free Kindles. If you have an ad-supported Kindle, it's not going to show the display cover option. So that's only available on ad-free Kindles, and then it will show your book cover when the device is turned off. If you have that display cover turned off, it'll just show random screensavers instead. But what I really like is that you don't have to swipe the screen either way. So that's like the main negative for the ad-supported Kindles. They make you swipe past that ad, whereas if you have the ad-free Kindle, you don't have to swipe. So here's another thing in here you may not know about with the front light. You have a night light that'll gradually, lower the brightness at night, and then you also have warm light schedule, so you can have it automatically turn the warm light on Kindles that have the warm light, like the Paperwhite and the Oasis and the Scribe. So the entry-level Kindle doesn't have that, but with these warm front light Kindles, you can have it automatically, turn on the warm front light at different times, whatever you have it set here. Then it also has the automatic setting. So once you select that, it'll just like go based on the time of your location from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. as it says here. It'll turn the warm light on then, or you can just, of course, turn this off and adjust it manually whenever you would like. If you have a Kindle with an auto brightness sensor, you can use that, but you may find it actually works a little bit different than it does on tablets and phones. One thing that's cool about it is it will learn your settings, or will learn your preferences. So see here, it went to 24 before, but if you set it to 20, then you turn it back on, it'll go to 20 if that's what your preference was. So it will learn what you want it set at. So that's it's pretty cool, actually. So another thing in here, you can set up a passcode on your Kindle. So you have to enter that to turn it on. Just make sure you don't forget it, or you'll have to factory reset your Kindle back to default settings. Another thing in here is the power saver. So you notice when you turn your Kindle on, it'll say waking up. If you disable power saver, it won't do that. It'll turn on faster. If you use your Kindle all the time, probably not a big deal. So like privacy setting as well, you can disable some data collection. I don't know if it's all data collection, but you can disable some of the data collection on your device right there. There's also this section down here for storage management. If you needed to free up some space on your Kindle, you got the quick archive option. You can also go in here and just select a number of books to archive as well. So here's something that confuses people a lot. When you tap this icon up here and update your Kindle, it's grayed out, but it's always grayed out. So you can't initiate an update from here. The only time you can use that is if you sideloaded the update, or if it just happened to download and it hasn't installed yet. It's there just mostly for manual updating. So you got a group series and library option here in settings as well if you want your series to be grouped. Here's something, the voice view screen reader. It's an accessibility setting, but you can also just use it as text to speech if you want. You do need to use Bluetooth headphones or speaker. You got to hook up your Bluetooth device and be able to use this because it doesn't have speakers itself, of course, but you can use that as text to speech. I have a video showing that, so I won't go into great detail. If you want to check that video out from a while ago, you got to navigate using gestures because it's an accessibility setting, so it's a little bit awkward. But in the parental control section, you can restrict access to like the web browser, the store, Goodreads, stuff like that by setting up the passcode. It's kind of a good option for kids. You also have the kids section, but it's a lot more restricted when you're using this. You can't sideload contents to a kid account at all. It's only Amazon content. So if you wanted to use your Kindle for a kid and you didn't want them accessing the store or the internet, you could just put restrictions on those things instead of having to use a kid's account. Another thing here in the help and user guide section is tutorials. So if you wanted to walk through like the interface, that does have some tutorials for that. They're not very detailed, but there is a little bit of info on that in there. So you got your home view and your library view. Once you keep it on library, it'll mostly stay to library unless you restart your Kindle. So you don't really have to use the home screen if you don't want to. Another thing up in here, you got the contact us section. So you can send feedback from your Kindle just from this section right here. And they have some other help guides in here. If you're having some issues, for instance, like if your books won't download or, your content won't open, you can check some quick help guides here. And then they give you some info on how to contact Amazon if you're having issues. So here's a couple of quick tips when reading. You can use the pinch gesture to increase, decrease font size on the fly. If you don't move your fingers, you can just go up and down the list. So these are just sort of some basic getting started tips for Kindles for the most part. I'll be posting some more advanced guides here in the future, so subscribe to the ebook reader YouTube channels for some future tips and tricks guides as well. You also got the option to disable the touchscreen on these Kindles with the flush front. Sometimes it can be a bit of an issue touching the screen. And you got these themes here where you can set up different views with your different fonts. One cool thing about Kindles, you can add your own fonts as well. They have there's like a folder when you plug it into your computer, and it has a fonts folder, and there's like directions on how to add fonts in there. It's really easy. You just put the TTF or OTF fonts on here, and then you can use your own fonts as well. So you're not just limited to the system fonts. So over here in the more section, there are some different settings you can configure as well. You have the reading progress indicator, which shows in the bottom left of the screen. You have page and book. Those it'll show you estimated times and stuff like that, how long it'll take to finish the chapter or the book. You also got the clock you can turn on up there if you wanted to keep an eye on the clock. Some of the Kindles, like I said, have that page turn animation setting that can be turned on and off, but not all of them, the newer ones. And then you've also got like word wise, you can turn that on or off right there. That'll give you hints for words. So yeah, if you tap the little corner down here, you can also scroll through the different, reading time estimates and stuff like that. You can just add notes and highlights by holding and selecting text, it will automatically highlight it. There's a setting for that. And then you can type text notes with your highlights as well if you would like. You can add bookmarks. There's a couple different ways to add bookmarks. There's one up here on the menu bar. You got to select it and then tap it again, or you can just tap in the upper right corner to add bookmarks as well. And then you can tap there to view your bookmarks. So you can, and when you select different bookmarks, it'll give you a preview of that page. You can jump around. And anytime you move to a different part of the book, it'll put up this back to page or the stay here thing. You got to select one way or the other before it'll go away. Another way you can navigate your book is by swiping up from the bottom of the page, and you have these different views right here with the multi-page view and the single page view. Single page view will keep track of some of your recent locations as well with those little black dots. It could be kind of hard to select them, though, because they're really close together. But that's one way to navigate now that they removed the back button with the newer interface. Another quick tip, when you're using dark mode, it will actually save your different settings for the front light. So whatever you had it set on before, it will remember that setting. So that's just been kind of a quick tips and tricks guide for Kindle e-readers. This is more of a basic getting started guide, of course. Like I said, I'll be posting some more advanced guides in the future. So make sure to subscribe to the ebook reader YouTube channel. And I also have like a written guide on my website, the ebook reader blog, if you wanted to follow some of these tips. And I'll have some additional tips as well. So make sure to check out the ebook reader blog for those. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to wrap up this video. Goodbye.